Hi, I'm Tracey with Spilling the Tea, and with this next group, I have no idea what they're going to say. I can tell you it's unscripted, it'll be about baseball, and I have no idea what will come out of their mouths. I'm way out on my comfort zone having the two of you here.
Wow. I don't know what to do with my hands.
I've got a surprise for y'all. All right. The first thing we're going to do is that we're going to see if you can follow directions the way your players do. So you're going to have to figure out how to steep tea.
Steep.
Right, steep, which is hot water. Which
I thought we'd just make it really high.
Right? You're no stranger to hot water, are you?
No, I'm always in hot water.
What about you?
No. Never.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is open up the bag of tea. And today you're going to tell everybody what kind of tea it is that we're going to make.
I can't pronounce that.
Yes, you can. You can do it. You've got this.
Esther Rose chai tea.
High five. Good job, John.
Black tea also.
Black tea. All right, so can we ask you to go ahead and open the bag? And then what you're going to do is this is a little steeping pot here, okay? And so inside of here is a little strainer. So instead of having tea bags, you're going to put your tea in here. And we're going to make about you've got this, 4 cups of tea. So open the bag. And here's your spoon. Your wives are going to love this.
That was easy.
Good. I'm glad to know that because it's the first time we've actually opened a pouch live. Open it.
Oh, my bad.
Okay, and then use your spoon and put 4 spoonfuls in here. I want to show people that guys can do this too. Perfect. What does it smell like?
Oh, it's like potpourri.
It
smells
is like
good.
it is.
I would never picture tea being like this.
I love that. Okay.
I was thinking it being like ground and
I
stuff.
thought it was like Lipton, like already.
It looks like trees and stuff, like flowers and trees.
Flowers, right. It's got real rosebuds.
I feel like I'm nervous.
It's okay. You're
I'm
doing
shaking.
great.
Your hands
I'm so
indicate
proud
that
of
you are.
I'm shaking. I don't
Okay,
know.
2 more spoons. You got this. And then you're actually going to be the one that pours the hot water because the two of you together are hot water for sure.
We can get ourselves into it quickly.
So one of the reasons I brought you here today, did you get your 4 spoonfuls?
I did.
Awesome. All
Hold
right,
a second.
John, your turn.
Okay, I'm up.
You do this for Blaine. Because she's going to be watching it. She's going to make sure that her papa knows how to make tea.
Make tea for her?
Can I put this down?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you going to tell me when to stop, or do I just pour the whole
I would
thing
pour it
in?
like half full.
Okay.
All right. So
It smells good.
doesn't it smell
It
so
does.
good? I know it's so yummy. Perfect. I'm so proud of you guys. All right. So it's really that simple, right? We're going to let it steep for about 4 minutes. Can somebody set the timer? 4 minutes? Awesome. All right. So here we go. So you guys, you're the head coach of the Makos baseball team, which
Yes.
Carson, my youngest, is on the team. And you are, what is your role really? Like,
Well, the boys like to call me the team mom,
it's
which
so
doesn't
true
seem
because
appropriate.
the team moms don't really want to be team moms. And so you have
According
taken,
to the team, like the associations we play in, I'm just under the administrator title.
oh, but it's important. You know, because I have the best role ever, and that's that I get to be the DJ. And I like the no pressure of being the DJ, although I've taken some heat from certain parents like, oh, that music's boring, or it's not loud enough, or it's not the right song. Like, so I can't even imagine being a coach or the administrator. Are we really calling you an administrator?
You can call me whatever you
I
like.
like team mom.
You like team mom?
You know what I call them?
What?
I can't tell you, but it's a yeah. There's a lot of choice words I call them. Honestly, I couldn't do it without them. My dad said something to me the other day. So you ain't this, that, and the other. I bet you don't forget something on the baseball field. And I was like, ask John. I forgot baseballs, and John's got the baseballs.
And that's really what I wanted to talk about today is just team. What does it take to build a team?
10 years ago, I could have said something totally different than I can say now, but I don't know. It's crazy. It's first of all getting the parents on board. I mean, the parents are everything. I mean, parents have the most influences on the kid and they don't even realize it, you know. But it's everybody performing one task together without thinking, being natural. And that's just what a baseball team or any team sport is.
So as a head coach, you have multiple things that you have to deal with. You have
Yes.
to deal with players.
Yes.
You have to deal with parents. You have to deal with other coaches. You have to deal with umpires.
Right.
What's the hardest?
Parents.
I knew you were going to say that, so I was prepared this morning. I was like,
Parents.
Okay, so I'm going to be a full disclaimer. So one time you really made me mad. And, but it's funny, really it is, because it was a growing...
Can I ask you
Yeah,
if I know when it was?
Yeah, go ahead.
Were we playing the NC Heat in like Fuquay?
I think so, actually. Like, you were very perceptive. But what you said to me was that my son's a better third baseman than your son. And I went there like...
What? Can I say that?
So the truth is that... Okay, so you know what I think is so funny about it?
I'm even surprised I said it myself.
But what's so funny is I was like thinking to myself... My kid's a better third baseman, which is why parents are difficult, right? Yes. Because the truth is we all think our kids are the best. We're all our child's biggest cheerleader, our biggest support. And one of the things that I love dearly about you is that you're misunderstood because that's really what you are. It's like the ultimate dad who just adores his kids. And we'll get to that part in a minute. So anyways, but what it did for me is I was like... Carson's the better third baseman because I'm that mom, right? Like, we all want to think that our kids are the best, right? And so I got in the car and I was like stewing over it, right? And then I started thinking about it. I was like, Tracey, don't be that sports parent. Like, seriously, like, get it together, girl. The truth is that it's not fun unless we're all playing together, for me anyways.
Right.
And I told Carson, I was like, do you think you're the best third baseman? And he was like, I don't really care about that. I just care about winning.
Right. So first... Let me say, I apologize, and that is not the moment that I was thinking of.
Well, obviously there's another moment.
The other moment was completely separate from the boys in general, and it was more of a situation with you and her.
Me?
And yeah, that's the moment
so now
I
you're
thought.
throwing
And
me
how, no,
now
and
you're
how
throwing me under the bus.
her reaction to your coaching, because parents react to the coaching
it's true.
as well differently than the players do.
And is
so
that
that was the
hard?
moment.
Well, let me. I want to piggyback on what you just said about the whole third base, better, worse, or whatever. Sometimes it could be the case. Let's say we've got two shortstops and they're both identical. One may be a little bit better, but the other one is a better center fielder than the other one. Well, what am I going to do? Am I going to sit one on the bench, or am I going to put the one in the outfield and have the one playing, shortstop? I mean, and that's the stuff that we make as coaches. And I feel like I've gotten better at this, is making decisions as a team. Because I've always called myself the best coach ever. I'm a dick like that. I think I am. But what gets me there is the people I have around me. And I've always surrounded myself with what I felt like were the best of the best.
Whether so
whether it was the Makos or the Mustangs or Team Carolina, I've always had people around me that make me and my team look better.
So you and I have a lot in common in the fact that this is my 25th year as a baseball mom.
Wow.
How many years do
I
you
thought
have?
you were like 22 tops.
Thanks. How many years do you have with baseball?
My son's 22. This will be a lot. Lot.
It's a lot of years. And so we've seen it all, right?
Yes.
And I think that's one thing that has really helped me to be a better mom, is going through the stage with my first one, thinking, oh, he's going to be a baseball star, to realizing over time that it's really not even about playing baseball. No, it's about the memories that we create together. And our team is so awesome.
Yeah. It's for me, I tell the kids this a lot. And what baseball and team sports teaches is the chances, if you look in, I don't even think there's any phone books anymore, but if you look in a phone book, how many professional athletes do you see in there? We're fortunate we got Lonnie, but how many, if you turn to the yellow pages, how many professional lawyers, how many professional plumbers, how many professional carpenters? You're going to be a professional at something, and I'm there to teach you how to be a better employee, a better business owner, a better dad, and a better husband. That's what my job is to do. And if I can't do that, I fall short, because baseball's secondary. It really is.
I'm very thankful because for my own experience, my child went through a tough time last year emotionally. Yes. And it was because of you, like working with his dad and I to get him through that hump, and we did it.
I never. We talked about that last night, and I've used Carson as a lot, and I've used kids that I've coached a lot, good and bad, and Carson, not just because you're here, but Carson really, really showed what kind of a man he's going to be, because there's no way that he went from what he was to what he is now. It was unbelievable, the transformation. I told him last night, I was like, I was scared to death to put you back on the baseball field because you were done. You were done with it. Just not just baseball. You were done. And he handles himself well. It's unbelievable. But the thing of it is, he had to put that work in himself.
Right. When Waylon was here earlier, we were talking about Riley, actually, because I told him that you were coming, and he was like, he's such a great kid. I coached him in football. I was like, he really is. Riley, to me, is an amazing leader. And one thing that I love so much about him is that he just is who he is. He's authentic to himself. Like he doesn't let anybody from the outside affect him. And that's a reflection of parenting.
Well, I don't know, because he's way more humble of a person than I apparently am.
It's coaching.
But I want to go back to the Carson thing, and you talk about a team. When Carson was going through his situation, the instant reaction of what to do with him versus the end reaction of what did happen with him even took a lot of discussion, and Matt did a good job of, as a coach, technically you're only worried about winning, right?
Right.
Your record is your resume, basically. It could have been very easy to say, I'm done with him, and move on to find somebody very easy. But we live in a very small nucleus. We don't have a 200-mile radius to pull players from. So we have to nurture our own, basically, and take care of our own. And that's what the decision was to do. And again, Matt and I talk about this on a regular basis of how impressive it is to see Carson come back. I was nervous too the first time he got back on the mound. I said, I hope it's good, but I also hope he gets in some trouble to see how he reacts to that trouble.
And it didn't go that good.
And it didn't go well.
It didn't go like he wanted. I was like...
And it's translated to the hitting and everything.
Yeah.
His whole approach to the game, it's a pleasure to see him. It's a pleasure to see him not only play, practice. You know, there were certain aspects of practice and things we would do that he absolutely hated. I'm not saying he loves them now, but he gets through them without any sign of the same complaints that he had before.
So when you say that, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I didn't want this to be all about my kid,
All right.
but he's a good example
Yes.
of overcoming, which is what Esther Tea is all about in our foundation.
And he's a pretty good third baseman.
Not as good as you're good.
Well, about this too,
Yeah.
in that,
Wait,
I don't
pause.
remember.
So I want to go back to that, but first we need to drink tea. So I'm going to let you pour it.
Okay.
And it's super easy. You just want to hold the lid so it doesn't go like dumping, right? Okay. And so you can pour, and it's customary like to pour the other person's first and pour yours last, like servant leadership. So do you mind pouring the tea for us? And then this is Carteret County sugar.
Okay.
Okay. So it's just sugar.
Sugar.
There's no other kind of sugar.
You know
like,
when I think of tea? I think
What?
of like being like in India.
Yeah.
I mean, like...
Well, that's where the tea came from. Is
Oh, really?
India.
How would I?
Yeah. No, it's fine. All right, then you use your little tongs, and you've got this cute little spoon right here.
So how many sugars I put in?
I think you're going to need 2 sugars.
Two?
You need help with your sweetening.
Would you like some
Hold a second.
as well?
Have you
Yeah,
have you seen this movie
absolutely.
where they do the sugar 1 and 2? Ain't that a cartoon? That's
Thank
a cartoon.
you.
I
That's
think.
good. I've already had a bunch of tea today. Okay, and then here's the sugar for you, John.
So do I stir it or do I?
Yes, you stir it. Waylon asked the same thing.
It smells good.
It does.
I love that. I
It
love
smells
hearing
fruity and herby.
Herbie.
Herby.
It does have lots of herbs in it. Okay, let's try it. Actually, and let me see if it's too hot.
You don't use sugar?
I don't. I like it just the way it is.
So
I should have tried it just the way it was first.
I
You
should have too.
but most people like it with sweetener in it, and I wanted to show that you guys can totally
Hold a
steep
second.
tea.
There you go. Then put that does.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Your wives are going to be so proud. And Blaine, she's going to be like, my
Oh,
dad
are we
had
pinky
tea.
up in it?
I was literally like before I done this, I said, "Man, this sucks. I've got to fake this."
Dang it, but it doesn't.
But it doesn't suck. Because I was like,
That's exactly what Josh said. He goes, can I just tell you something, Tracy? When the tea finally arrived, it was such a relief that it tastes good.
I mean, really, I was like, man,
It
this
tastes
is
like
gonna-
breakfast.
I was like, this is gonna
Oh, that's a
suck.
good-
And because I hate,
like breakfast.
Like it
because I
tastes
hate
like
coffee.
a whole meal.
I hate coffee. Like, I think coffee tastes like old men.
I hate coffee.
I do. I hate it.
Coffee and scotch, two worst tasting things ever. One tastes like a house fire, and the other one tastes like a paved road.
Watch out now. Don't say that.
Okay, so go back to no, you can drink your tea. Go ahead.
I like it, man.
But I
It's
want
good.
you guys to go back and just kind of zone in on what does it take to build a team. What's the hardest part about building a team, and what are the biggest misconceptions? Because I get this a lot.
Daddy
Like,
ball.
Daddy ball.
Is the biggest miss. And I do play daddy ball. And other coaches play daddy ball to the fact where we expect our kids to be more. I can't say it. I'm trying to be like proper.
You have to
more perfect.
You have to hold a higher expectation
Right.
to your own to overcome the outside perception of what's going on.
But keeping a team together and keeping everybody satisfied is really, really hard. Is really tough because, I told Austin this. Me and Austin were good friends. There's no doubt we were good friends. And one of the things that he didn't like about the whole coaching stuff was he thought that every kid was supposed to fit into like a mold. And I tried to explain to him, I was like, this ain't landing an airplane. You're not trying to coach to 12. You're hopefully can get to 12. But if you can get that one kid or them two kids to respond to you, you've won. Wow. And anything above that is a plus. And there's a joke in the baseball community of coaches that you wish you can coach an all orphan team. And that's the reason why is that so you don't have to deal with the parents because the kids are a joy. I mean, the parents suck. I'm telling you, we are lucky to have parents on our team that is really, really good.
We all genuinely like each other.
I'm not saying it because I'm
Unless you
recording.
tell them that their kid's not good at third base.
Is that that's hard.
Then they have moments in their
But
car.
I tell you what I've done. I'm gonna use names. I mean, we talked about Carson. There's not many people that know this, but last year this time I looked at Eli and his dad. We met to Swenson, and he was literally upset. He's like, "I thought I was going to come here, and you're kicking Eli off the team," and I was, but I wasn't. I was honest. I told him, I said, "Look, man, I don't think Eli's going to be hitting the field." I said, "He's not going to hit." I was like, "You need to." What I would do is I would find a team because Eli deserves to play. And he looked at me and said, "Eli wants to be a Mako. I don't know what you've done, but he wants to play with you." That kid worked his ass off.
He really did.
He worked his ass off. Instead of saying, "Hey, I quit," throwed up middle fingers, peace out, I'm out. He worked his ass off, and it paid off.
It did. He's doing so good.
He can hit the baseball. There's still stuff that we call the Eli moving mess and stuff, but the kid works hard, and that's all as a coach you ask for. Is to work hard and see progression of your hard work. You could be unbelievable, but if you don't work at anything, you're not gonna be anything. And I tell the kids that lazy people always expects everything, but people that work hard and strive to win always wonder if they do enough. Wow. And they're always wondering, did I do enough? Did I do it? Did I give it all? And that's just the way life is, and that's the way it's always going to be. Lazy people expect stuff that they don't deserve, and people that work hard and put the work in always wondered if they did enough for somebody.
It's so true.
It is. It's just crazy.
I think there's so many life lessons on the baseball field.
There are plenty.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, our team is an anomaly because when you go
You spilled the tea.
Yeah, I did.
when you go to bigger cities, you will see a kid putting forth 100% of his effort. And the reason why he's doing it is out of the fear that there's 4 kids behind him trying to take his spot. We don't necessarily have that, but we also don't have complacency because what we do have is a group of boys who spend, on average, they're probably spending 80 hours a week together between school, their social things, baseball practice, working out outside of that. They spend quite a bit of time together. So they work hard for the man on each side of them.
I know. I think I love to watch that part of them. Mm-hmm. I love to watch when they're up there and there's a particular pitcher up there, all the pitchers, and how the field is disappointed if they make an error. They're disappointed for the pitcher.
Right.
They don't want to let down their team. And that has been the most fun for me as a mom to watch them grow in that way.
Yes.
To go from it being like a sport just about self to truly coming together as a team.
Right.
What kinds of things, because I don't get to see the practices very often, but how do you bring a team together like that?
You have to break them down first.
You do.
That's what the military does.
They do.
Yes.
Well, we talked about last night, and how can I say what we did last night? We talked about Nolan Ryan, and I like bringing up Michael Jordan, Nolan Ryan, Kobe Bryant. They've all got one thing in common, that they hated to lose, but they loved to win. Every one of them. Do you look at Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky? We even throw Kelly Slater in there. They all have one trait, is that they work their butts off and they can't stand to lose, and they'll win a can kicking contest. So we were talking about Nolan Ryan. Is they asked him about pitching in, and I'm not gonna get the quote right. I mean, but they asked him about pitching in Major League. He's like, "Oh, pitching in Major League's easy." He said, "Well, then what's the hard part?" He's like, "Preparing to get there." And you think about it. You look at the military, that they prepare every single day and train every single day for nothing.
It's true.
And their end goal is to go to war, but they don't want to go to war, so they do the whole stuff every day. And that's what I was telling our kids last night. It's like, look, the stuff that we're doing now, you don't see it, but it pays off. And it pays off, and it's going to pay off. And just keep going through it, because it's hard. It's hard telling a 13-year-old, go hit 200 baseballs.
Right.
I mean, did you want to do that at 13?
I still don't want to do it.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, because baseball is a sport where you have to put in the hard work. It's not like surfing, where when you go surfing, you're having fun while you're doing it.
Right.
Baseball, the fun part is on when there's a batter and when there's a game. And I try to make it fun. I try to make it when I say fun, like we're all the time doing something, so they don't never have any mental downtime.
Right.
That are always moving and always doing something. So that's what my philosophy has always been. Keep them going, make it look like they're doing something, and then once they see it, they'll do it. And
another thing that I really love about you is that if you are going up to an umpire and you're challenging, I'm going to say that in a nice way, I feel confident as a parent because you know the rules.
Right.
And so when people will be like, oh, he should just let that go, I'm like, oh, it's probably a reason why.
Right.
why he's
But on
up
the
there.
flip side of that, he may not be arguing.
Yes.
I know. So I've learned
But that goes back to the parent thing, right? Some parents just assume, oh, here he goes again. No, he's also building the relationship with the umpire. He might be talking about a rule and letting it go, and then he gives them a compliment or whatever, and that plays a good part in the direction the game goes as well.
Strategy.
Yes. And how many times I've been to the talking to the umpire, especially the plate umpire, and I look down and say, Blue, I said, I want to say this really, really soft. I said, but if I don't come say nothing, everybody's going to wonder and think I'm soft. So I'm going to act like I'm yelling at you. I'm going to act like you're an idiot. And when I walk away, I'm going to act like this conversation didn't go good. But how's your day, Blue? And he looked at me, and I just walk away. It's like, you know what? Get it right next time. and that's how I'm telling you, 90% of the conversations I have with the umpires is that. And
when we were in Wilmington, which we only played there one time, I had an umpire come up to me and he was like, "You're the best DJ," and he was like, "I'm gonna tell you about this song."
Oh yes.
And I was like, "Okay," and he was like, "It's called Bad Umpire." And so he was like, "Go ahead, download it." I was like, "Okay, but is it bad?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's really bad."
Right.
He said, "And if I make a bad call, I want you to play it."
Right.
And I was like, "Wow, that's really that to me was a lesson too."
Right.
That he was there, like admitting there's
Yeah.
probably going to be times that I make bad calls, and that takes me to something that Carson said a long time ago. Because one time, this was last year, we were coming home and I was like, "Oh, that was a terrible call.
Yes.
Coach should have done this." Like parents are good. We're good about
Yeah.
wanting to be the coach, right? And he was like, "Mom, this is out of a 12-year-old's mouth." He was like, "Mom, as a coach, sometimes you're going to make a decision and it's going to be the right one. Sometimes you're going to make a decision it's going to be the wrong one. But at the end of the day, you just need to make the decision."
It's crazy.
And I was like, as a parent, I was like, "Shut your mouth,
Yeah.
Tracy."
And he's also learned from a coaching standpoint, when you win, it's because of the players. When you lose, it's because of you.
Right. Oh, that's a good line. I like that.
People don't realize how much I wear it on. I mean, and outside I look like I'm happy, go free, funny, whatever, or try to be funny. But coaches wear games, win or lose, on their shoulders. I don't know if it was you. He's like, "How did you remember that?" I can tell you, a play that happened, because I replay every game in my head afterwards every time. I mean, no matter what it was, I replay it, and that's helped me a little bit. But what helped me with the umpires, and as far as arguing with them, I had an umpire. He was horrible. He sucked. He knew he sucked, and the field umpire said, "Look, man," he's like, "I got a question for you." He said, "You own a business?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "How many calls do you think this umpire's made today between the both of us?" I was like, "Balls and strikes, probably 250, probably 300. He's like, "How many have we got wrong?" I was like, 3. He's like, "In a workplace, would you take that percentage?"
Wow. That's a pretty good, that's a good way to put it.
He's like, "Look, man, we know when we F up, is that what it? He's like, we try to fix it, and baseball will take care of itself." And that, I looked at it, I was like, God, man, I sounded like a this entire game and stuff, or up to this point. And so anyway,
I have one last thing that I want to ask you about.
Yeah.
So, what would you say to, because people ask me this a lot, like, what would you say to the kid who's sitting at home that just has a heart for baseball, that really wants to play but has never played before? They're 12 years old, they've never played, but they have a passion, they want to try it. Because I know for in our sake, like in our case, my kids started playing little, young, and they practice, Carson practice even now, all the time. And what would you say to that kid?
Can I answer this?
Do you want the honest answer from me?
I do.
Okay.
Because I think it's important for parents to hear.
Yes, I think at 12 years old, it's 13 years old to big field. I think it's too late. I think the game of baseball has passed them. I think with basketball, you can be the biggest kid and always find something. Football, you can be 6'5" and 250 muscled up, and they'll find somewhere. But baseball is technical, fundamental, and it's almost to the point that age, if you hadn't done it, especially with travel ball now. Travel ball has changed the game, because who's going to be a better baseball player? The kid playing 10 games in April and May, or the kid playing 90 baseball games from April to November?
Right.
You can't beat numbers. You can't do
true.
it. And it's hard, and there's always that exception. There's always that exception to the rule. I mean, don't get me wrong, but
you got to look at it this way. All 3 of our kids have played since very young. The kid you're talking about right now is 100,000 swings behind.
That's a good point.
Oh.
And there are
And
other
it's
sports.
unfortunate.
Like our kids do other things like fishing and hunting,
Right.
and that's what we did this summer. Is we just did kid stuff,
Right.
and we focused on being outside a lot, hiking and being in the water, and so there's lots of things that they can still do. But I think it's important for people to understand that in the game of baseball, it's a game of strategy. Yes. It's also a game of practice. I mean, Carson's dad says this all the time: perfect practice makes perfect.
yes.
Yep.
Not practice makes perfect. Perfect practice.
practice.
So what you do in practice is really what's going to be repeated. And it also has to be an internal drive by the kid. So I think it's important for people to just be honest with themselves about that, so that they're not disappointed and then say bad things about the baseball community. Right? But there's also all kinds of cool things that we can do out there, and that we can encourage our kids to do. Carson, we encouraged him to try something different this summer, okay, get out of your comfort zone. And he tried golf. And he's actually really good at it.
Right.
I told him last night to
Quit baseball and play golf.
Baseball and play golf. He's got a good swing.
Oh my gosh,
really unbelievable swing. It's it's natural. Anyway, but
it's really fun. It's fun as parents to push them a little bit,
Right.
or nudge them to try something different that you've never done before. So it's never too late for that, ever. I mean, golf is a lifelong sport. Tennis is a lifelong sport. Soccer, my kids have never played competitive soccer, but when we get together as a family, we play soccer. Because we have fun.
Piggybacking what you just said right then about working hard and stuff and whatever. Do you know who started that?
Who?
Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods probably was the main athlete that started hard work and working your ass off.
Wow.
Reps, and his dad, or I guess Earl,
Right.
was the prime example of what pageant. He was a pageant dad, but in sports.
Right.
And he did, man. He made his son, because we were talking about this the other day. What 13-year-old says, you know what? I'm gonna throw this fishing rod down, and I think I'm gonna take 200 cuts. What? So as parent, everybody asks me this question here. So, do you make Maddox hit? I was like, first of all, Maddox lives under my roof. Maddox, if he looked at me tomorrow and said, Dad, I don't want to go to school, am I going to say, well, you know what? You don't have to go to school no more. I'm his father, and I need to lead him in a way. Now, there's a time where he gets to a point where, as a dad, I can say, hey, he's doing this for all the wrong reasons. But I'm not going to sit there and let him know that he's got a goal to attain, and I'm not going to help him get that goal.
That's a good point. That's parenting.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely. If you're talking to the kid or the family who's got a younger kid who wants to play this sport, same thing. I do push my son because he has a goal 10 years down the road.
Right.
My job is to help him get there. So I even have the conversation with my wife. She says, are you sure you don't try to live yourself? I said, no. She said, he needs to be a kid. He can go be a kid.
That's a mom
after
thing.
After he's done hitting or pitching or whatever he's doing, because those take 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
And it's discipline.
Right. And all I'm doing is building the pattern now so that when he goes to college and hopefully plays baseball, he doesn't have to think, oh, I need to do this before I do that. It's already in him.
I remember when Lonnie was playing at West Carteret, and the game would be over, and I was so impressed as a parent because the lights would be about to go out, and Lonnie was the one that was out there running laps, and Lonnie was the one that was striping the field, and Lonnie was the one that was giving it his all. He was the one that practiced harder than anybody, and he's the one who made it to the majors. Right. So, and it's not just
and we
about
have a whole
making
team
it
of
to,
those kids.
We
Yeah.
do.
There's a state championship on this baseball team. They are, man. They really are.
It'll be fun to watch them in high school.
I
and
can't wait, man. If
West
they,
Carteret
it's gonna be. I tell everybody, I was like, man, we got a state championship on this team.
And it's fun when you talk about you don't see the practices, how you can tell that the team gels together. We do one drill where Matt's hitting ground balls to second, and we're trying to do the footwork from the shortstop crossing the bag for a double play. Maddox, his son, is the second baseman, of course. The boys playing shortstop don't ever look at the bag, barely ever look at the ball going to Maddox because they know he's going to field it and toss it. And Maddox, when we switched, it was a struggle for him for probably 3 weeks, 3 practices, right? It was a struggle because Maddox was on the flip side. He's now looking at them, like Carson, for example, Chase, Riley. He was looking at them like, are you fielding the ball like I do and going to toss it? So he struggled to get his footwork. And, I mean, we had to slow it down. Literally, I picked him up at one time, and I did the footwork while his feet were dangling. Last night, never looked at the boys. Did it 3 times in a row, and the whole rest of the time, perfect. I went back and picked him up off the ground, too, and hung him and swung him around because he finally got it. But they have the trust in them. And
trust is a big part.
it's
big
awesome. And they go play I mean, to some degree, coaching's probably a little easy when we get to the game. The hard part for Matt is the same practice. He's practice coaching them, so when we go to the game, he doesn't have to coach those little intricacies. There will be strategy things that he's got to tell. We're going to bunt here, do this, or cover that because he sees something, and the boys know what he's talking about because they have that relationship. And again, going back to the kid who's looking for a team, when you're looking for a team, you have to find the team that's going for the goal that you're trying to get. And it may not be the goal that you have right this minute. You need to find a team for the goal down the road.
I told we've been going through some issues on where the direction of the team's going, and somebody looked at me the other day and said, what is our goal, just to win? And I looked at him and I was like, if you're ever a part of anything, I don't care if it's baseball, whatever, if they're in their first 3 words to you, winning is not part of it,
Right.
you need to go somewhere else.
Well, in life, like
Right,
I want to
right.
win at life every single day. So there's nothing. People kind of put a stigma on winning, but for me, I wake up every day and I'm like, today I'm going to.
I hate losing.
We're at your podcast.
Yeah.
I think you're winning.
Awesome.
You're doing a good job of winning.
It's something I did with Noah, and if you called him right now and you asked him, what got you to Carolina with a free ride, and when I was coaching him, I was a hard ass on him. I was a 100% complete.
Is it build version of you?
Yes, this is like, yeah, you see it a little
my
bit. You
gosh.
see it a little bit. Oh yeah, I'm 100% laid back now. But I always had this thing with Noah. If we're using this as birth and this is death as a timeline, this is when you're young. All right, you got friends right now that are that on the outside look like they're going outside, riding their bike, and having their little free time. And I've always told Noah this, is like, Noah, you've got this little time right here that you either can mess or you can work your ass off. If you work your ass off, you have this whole time in your life to play and do what you want to.
Really good lesson.
If you sit here and screw around here, you're going to work the rest of your life. So do you want to play here and work here? Or do you want to put the work in here and play and do whatever you want to?
He's crushing it.
And now he's going to be an anesthesiologist. He's going to be a doctor. He's going to buy me a Jarrett Bay. We're going to, he's going to buy me.
Noah.
He's going to buy me some. I was going to say something bad, but I can't. I stopped myself. That was self-control.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I know what you're going to say.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, that's my philosophy with life, coaching, and everything I do is if you're not a winner, and you're a loser. I mean, that's the way it is, and you know,
Don't be a loser.
And then losing. I mean,
It's a
I don't
mentality.
know.
Now, you want to know what my job on the team is? When he says those things, I have to translate it into a nice thing to the parents,
Right.
and give that
It's
message
true.
out. That
I
way.
literally
That's what an
told
administrator does.
somebody we was coaching All Stars and they were horrible. They sucked. I was like, do you?
I want to tell that
like
story.
when if I'm ever around y'all, I said, do y'all want to know? Do you want me to tell you the truth?
You
Always
don't
say
want him
no,
to tell the
because
truth.
I'm either gonna get my ass kicked by y'all, or you're gonna be like, well, damn, he was right. They asked, I said, do you want me to be the truth about y'all? And they're like, well, they didn't know. Well, Fricks and Maddox let us say, yeah, coach, we want to know the truth. I looked at them, I said, you need to go back right now to every one of your coaches and get your money back. I was like, because they haven't taught you anything. It's a disservice to y'all, and y'all need to start over.
Now, Tracy, he tells me this story.
Oh God.
He tells me this story, and I said, did you just mean for that tournament? Because it costs like $100. Whatever. I was like, did you mean go get your $100 back? He goes, no. I told him for their whole season. Like every bit they paid their team, they
But
needed
that's
to get back.
that's me, man. That's me. I hate losing. If we're in a can kicking contest, I want to win the can kicking contest. I mean, I guess it is a bad thing. I guess. I mean, I don't know. Unless you're winning the can kicking contest or not.
I can't argue against you. That's why we're on this team, and we have a common goal and a common philosophy.
Well, I want to take a minute towards the end here to first of all thank you.
You're welcome.
For so many reasons. Like I am so proud of who you are as a dad, and I think just how you support your kids, and quit.
It's not just my kid, though. I genuinely.
I know. I was
it's
getting there. Let me hold on. Let me
Sorry.
get there. I was getting there.
I'm still befuddled about telling Carson he was not a good third baseman. Or
It's okay.
telling
You'll
you
think
that.
about that all day, but
I
I'm
will
not.
now.
I'm not going to think about that because it was a really great lesson for me. Because you know what I said to Carson: if you want to be the best, you better go play harder, work harder, practice harder. And so that's our mentality at home: winning. Yes. And it's not like to push. It's if that's what you want, then this is what you got to do. You got to get up earlier. You got to make your bed every morning. It's habits, right?
Right.
And what you do now will affect, like you said, the rest of your lives. So, but I'm really proud of who you are as a dad, the support that you give both of your kids, not just Riley, but Blaine as well, who you are as a husband, because you have an amazing, epic, crazy, awesome wife.
Thank you.
And then as a friend to me, I'm just very, very grateful. And then to you, I want to say thank you for helping us get through. It was a really hard time in our life last year after losing Wes, and Carson struggled and I struggled, and you were an integral part in helping us heal. And you may not even realize that, but and the team was something that we all looked forward to coming back to, and it's been nothing but great ever since. So thank you for what you do, that you pour into the kids, both of you. A lot of work goes into playing travel ball. A lot of, on the parent side too, like there's a lot of sacrifice for all of us, but it's the memories that we're making that we will all cherish forever, for sure. Love you guys.
Carson's awesome. The whole team's awesome.
They are.
They're one of the best. I mean, you know, I always bring up Mustangs and all whatever. This team's way more accomplished than what they ever were because they're, first of all, they're winning with grace and winning with good attitudes.
They do have good attitude.
They and now there's no quit in them. I don't know if you'd said the parents hasn't seen that, but there's no quit. The game that we got down by 7, they would have quit. They would have been down.
That's true.
They didn't. They fought back.
They did.
And they're fighters, and they bought into my bull crap.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here today.
Thank you.
We'll see you in Goldsboro.
Cheers to tea. Yeah, I'll see you this weekend in Goldsboro. I think it's going to be cold.
Do we slam it? Do we slam it?
I'll bring tea. That's a wrap on Spilling the Tea. Stay tuned for our next podcast.